Room 16. I pulled into the old roadside motel just after 1 a.m., the kind of place where the neon sign flickers like it's struggling to stay alive. I'd been driving for hours, exhausted, eyes burning, and the storm rolling in behind me didn't help. I just needed a bed, any bed. The lobby was empty when I walked in, the bell on the counter ringing into a silence that felt too heavy. A few seconds later, the manager stepped out from the back room, a thin, pale man with wide eyes that didn't blink often enough. "You're lucky," he said, sliding a grimy key across the counter. "One room left, room 16. Lucky, sure." The hallway smelled like damp carpet and old cigarettes. Every door I passed was shut tight, except one. Room 12. It was cracked open just an inch, a thin strip of blackness visible inside. I slowed, listening. Nothing. I walked faster. My room was at the very end of the hall. The lock stuck for a moment before clicking open. Inside, the air was cold, way colder than it should have been. The light flickered on, revealing a room that looked like it was last cleaned sometime in the previous decade. But I didn't care. I threw my bag down and collapsed onto the bed. I had barely exhaled when I heard it. A knock, soft, slow, far down the hall. I held still, listening. Another knock, closer. I sat up. "Hello," I called. My voice sounded too loud in the empty room. Then came a third knock, this time right outside my door. My chest tightened. I walked to the peephole, heart pounding, but when I looked through, nothing. Just the dim hallway. Room 12's door was still cracked open. I backed away from the door. Maybe it was the manager checking if I'd settled in, or another guest messing around. I forced myself to lie back down. I was drifting off when I heard it again, but not from the hallway. From inside the room, a slow, dragging sound on the carpet, like someone sliding their hand across it, coming from under the bed. My veins turned to ice. I didn't move, didn't breathe. The dragging got louder, closer, until I swear I felt the vibration under the mattress. I bolted upright, grabbed my bag, and sprinted for the door. But the moment I touched the handle, someone knocked again. Hard, 3 times, right on the other side. I stumbled back. The lights flickered violently, plunging the room into bursts of darkness. In the flashes, I saw movement. Something long, something wrong, slithering out from under the bed. I didn't wait to see it fully. I charged the door, ripped it open, and ran. The hallway lights were dimmer now, humming angrily. As I passed room 12, I heard whispering from the darkness inside, like dozens of voices overlapping. I didn't look. I didn't stop. When I reached the lobby, the manager was standing motionless behind the counter, staring at me with those wide, unblinking eyes. "Leaving already?" he asked softly, as if he expected it, as if everyone left early. I didn't answer. I just sprinted to my car, jumped in, and drove off so fast the gravel skidded under my tires. In the rearview mirror, the motel grew smaller, swallowed by the darkness of the road behind me. I was shaking but relieved, until I looked at the passenger seat. A wet handprint dragged across the leather, and something whispered from the back seat. "Room 16 isn't done with you." The last room. The only reason I stopped at that motel was because the highway ahead had turned to pitch black, thick fog swallowing the road like a living thing. My GPS kept losing signal, and when I saw the flickering neon sign that read Moonrise Motel, I pulled in out of pure desperation. There were no cars in the parking lot. Not one. Just mine. I tried to tell myself the place was just slow, off-season, quiet. But the moment I stepped out of my car, the air felt wrong, heavy, like it was pressing against my skin. The single street lamp above me buzzed faintly, its light dimming every few seconds as if something invisible brushed past it. The lobby door was unlocked. Inside, the room smelled like old wood and something faintly metallic. A bell sat on the counter, the kind you'd use to call the clerk, but the moment I reached for it, ding! It rang on its own. I snatched my hand back. A man appeared from the back room immediately. Tall, thin, too still. His face didn't match his voice when he spoke. His expression was blank, but his voice was strangely cheerful. Traveling alone? Good. Less complications. I froze. What was that? Nothing, he said quickly, sliding a key toward me. Room 9, last room available. I glanced at the wall behind him. 7 keys hung there, all untouched. What happened to the other rooms? I asked. He didn't blink. They're not for you. Every instinct told me to leave, but the fog outside was thicker now, swallowing the road whole. I took the key. The walk to my room was worse than the lobby. The outdoor hallway was lined with windows, but every one of them was pitch black. The numbers on the doors looked hand-painted, uneven, dripping slightly as if the paint had never dried. Room 9 was at the very end. The key turned too easily. Inside the room was cold, freezing cold, like someone had left the window open all day in winter. But when I checked, the window was nailed shut from the inside. The bed was made neatly, but the sheets looked damp. The air smelled faintly of soil, like freshly dug earth. I should have left then. I should have run. I sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing my hands together for warmth, when I heard it. A soft tapping from the bathroom. At first it sounded like water dripping. Then it sounded like fingers. Slow, deliberate taps on the tile floor. I stood up, heart hammering, and reached for the bathroom door. When I touched the handle, the tapping stopped instantly. Silence. Total silence. I opened the door. The bathroom light flickered once, twice, then stayed on. Nothing inside, just an empty, cold room. I let out a shaky breath and turned back toward the main room. And that's when I saw it. The bed sheets were pulled completely off the mattress, all the way to the floor, like something had crawled out from underneath. I stumbled back, slamming into the bathroom sink. The lights flickered violently. A low groaning sound came from somewhere beneath the room, like the entire building was exhaling. Then someone whispered behind me, right behind my ear, "You shouldn't have taken room 9. I spun around, no one there, but in the mirror over my shoulder, a dark shape, tall, bent, watching me with hollow, reflective eyes. I didn't turn to face it, I just ran. I burst into the hallway, sprinting past the windows, except now some of them weren't black. Faces pressed against the glass from inside the rooms, dozens of them, watching silently. I didn't look twice. I raced to the lobby, expecting the clerk. But the room was empty. No door to the back. Just a blank wall where it had been. I didn't stop running until I was in my car, engine roaring to life. As I sped out of the parking lot, the fog parted unnaturally fast, like something was letting me leave. Only when I reached the highway did I check my rearview mirror. The motel was gone, just open road. Nothing behind me but darkness, but on the passenger seat, a motel key. Room 9 cold and dripping wet, and something whispered from the back seat, "Next time, don't run." The quiet room. I checked into the motel because I had no choice. My car had started smoking halfway down the highway, and this was the only place for miles. A single-floor, U-shaped building with buzzing lights and a sign that used to say Starlight Motel. Half the letters were missing, so it just read SLGHTOE. The moment I stepped out of my car, I felt watched. Not by someone, but by the motel itself. Inside the office, there was no clerk until I rang the bell twice. A middle-aged woman with sunken eyes appeared from the back, her expression stiff, like she hadn't slept in days. "You'll be in room 3, she said before I even asked. I hadn't given my name, I hadn't said a word. The key she handed me was old, the metal cold, like it hadn't been touched in years. The walk to room 3 felt wrong. Every door I passed had deep scratch marks along the bottom, like something had clawed to get out. Or get in. The hallway lights flickered overhead, buzzing louder when I walked beneath them. When I unlocked my room, the smell hit me first. Wet carpet. Something metallic. And something else I couldn't name. Something sour and old. The room looked normal enough. Bed, nightstand, dusty TV. But the window blinds were drawn tight, and when I tried to open them, they didn't budge. The cord was cut clean through. As I sat on the bed, the springs groaned louder than they should have. I checked under the mattress, half expecting a rat, but the moment I lifted the corner, knock, a single sharp hit on my door. I froze. "Hello?" I called out. No answer. I looked through the peephole. No one, just the empty hallway. I sat back on the bed trying to calm down. That's when I heard it. A faint scratching coming from the closet. Slow, steady, like nails sliding down wood. I swallowed hard and walked toward it. The scratching stopped. I opened the closet door. Nothing inside, just coats hangers and a deep, cold draft. When I turned around, the TV turned on by itself. Static. Pure static. But beneath the static was a whisper. No rhythm, no words, just a rising hiss like someone trying to breathe through broken lungs. I grabbed the remote and clicked it off. The room went silent again. Then the phone rang. A dusty motel landline I hadn't noticed before. I answered it with a shaky hand. "Hello?" a raspy voice whispered. "Don't open the door." I froze. "What? Who is this?" "Don't open the door," the voice repeated, more urgent. And then, another knock. Harder this time, 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. I dropped the phone. My heart hammered as I stepped back from the door. The knocking stopped, but I heard breathing, right on the other side, slow, heavy, animal-like. Then the handle turned, rattling. Someone was trying to open it. "I can call the police," I shouted. The rattling stopped. Silence. Then, from behind me, the TV turned on again. Not static this time, a live feed of the hallway, outside my door. The camera faced room 3. Me. And there, in the grainy footage, was a tall, crooked figure standing right outside my door, its head tilted unnaturally far to one side, its arms long enough to brush the floor. It slowly raised one arm and placed a hand on my door. I watched the wood bend inward. I didn't wait. I ran. I threw open the bathroom window, barely wide enough for me to squeeze through, and dropped into the bushes behind the building. The lights flickered violently as I sprinted to my car. When I looked back, the figure was standing in the doorway of room 3, just watching me. Head still tilted, body still crooked, but its mouth spread into a wide, sharp grin. I drove off so fast the gravel sprayed behind me. Hours later, after I'd calmed enough to stop, I checked the passenger seat. The motel key, room 3. I never put it there, and it was still warm, like someone had been holding it. And on the metal, scratched deep into the surface, were 3 words. You left early. If you want, I can make image prompts for this one too.